Welcome to Betcha Didn't Know. Top 10 ways nature can kill you instantly. Nature. It gives us life, but it also waits, silently, patiently, with weapons far deadlier than anything humans could invent. One moment, you're walking on solid ground. The next, the earth swallows you whole. Or maybe the lake by your village explodes, suffocating everything in its path without a single flame. These aren't just disasters, they're nature's instant kill switches. And most terrifying of all, you will never see them coming. Today, we're counting down the top 10 ways nature can kill you instantly. Watch closely, because the ground beneath your feet may not be as safe as you think. Number 10. Sinkholes, the Earth's hidden trapdoor. Imagine this. You're asleep in your bed, safe, dreaming. Suddenly the floor beneath you vanishes. In less than a second, you and your home are swallowed whole by the earth. That's not the plot of a horror movie. That's a sinkhole. Sinkholes form when underground rock, often limestone, slowly dissolves from groundwater. The earth above becomes hollow, like a thin shell over an empty cavern. And then, without warning, it collapses. The most chilling part, sinkholes don't warn you. There's no siren, no countdown. 1 second you're alive, the next you're buried under thousands of tons of rock and soil. Let's examine a real case that occurred in Florida in 2013. A man named Jeffrey Bush was asleep in his bedroom when a sinkhole opened directly beneath his house. His entire bedroom collapsed into the earth, pulling him down. Rescuers tried desperately to save him, but the hole was too unstable. His body was never recovered. He was swallowed alive. Sinkholes have devoured entire roads, buses full of passengers, and even city blocks. In Guatemala City, a sinkhole once opened up in 2010 that was 200 feet deep, swallowing a 3-story building whole and killing at least 179 people. Betcha didn't know fact. The largest sinkholes on Earth can grow bigger than a football stadium, and they don't stop expanding once they open. The largest natural sinkhole, known as Shaozhe Tiankang, aka the Heavenly Pit, is in China with a depth of over 2,172 feet and measures over 1,762 feet in width. All in all, this enormous sinkhole is roughly 274,000 square feet. Sinkholes remind us, the solid ground we trust is just a thin crust over a hungry earth. Number 9. Tsunamis, the ocean's silent assassin. You're walking along a calm beach. The waves are gentle, the horizon peaceful. Then suddenly, the water pulls back, way back, exposing the seafloor. People stare in awe. Some even run closer to take pictures. What they don't realize is that they've just been given their last warning. That's the deceptive power of a tsunami. The brief, eerie moment when the ocean seems to vanish, sucked away, before the wave comes crashing back with apocalyptic force. Tsunamis form when underwater earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or landslides displace massive amounts of water. The first sign is often not the wave, but the retreat, the ocean pulling back unnaturally far, like it's inhaling, and then it exhales with fury. Let's take a closer look at a real case. The Indian Ocean tsunami in 2004. On December 26th, a massive undersea earthquake triggered waves up to 100 feet tall, traveling at a speed of 500 miles per hour. Coastal towns across 14 countries were wiped out. Nearly 230,000 people died. Many victims were standing on the newly exposed seafloor, marveling at the strange sight of the ocean disappearing. They never saw the wall of water racing toward them. Betcha didn't know fact. The energy released by that 2004 quake was equivalent to 23,000 Hiroshima bombs. Tsunamis are nature's cruel trick, offering a false moment of wonder, right before she comes in for the kill. Number 8. Limnic eruptions, the lake that suffocates. Now picture a quiet lake, shimmering under the sun. It looks calm, serene, but deep below, it's storing a secret weapon, an invisible cloud of death. This is a limnic eruption, one of the rarest and deadliest natural events on Earth. Certain lakes sit on volcanic ground, slowly filling with carbon dioxide that seeps from below. The gas dissolves into the water like soda in a bottle, and just like soda, when the pressure is released, it erupts. But instead of bubbles, it's a suffocating, invisible cloud. Now, you guessed it, let's review a real case regarding Lake Nyos, Cameroon, 1986. Without warning, the lake exploded. A massive cloud of carbon dioxide rolled across nearby villages. It displaced all the oxygen in the air. People collapsed instantly. Animals dropped dead in the fields. Within minutes, 1,746 people and over 3,000 cattle suffocated, without fire, without warning, without single scream. Survivors woke to find entire families dead, frozen in their last moments of life. Nature, once again, showed her devastating and unforgiving power. Betcha didn't know fact. Carbon dioxide is heavier than air, so it crawls along the ground, meaning you can be breathing 1 second, and the next, your lungs are filled with nothing but suffocating gas. Lakes like Nyos are known as killer lakes. Calm on the surface, but beneath, silent time bombs that could go off when you least expect it. If you are intrigued by this content and would like to see more, please consider subscribing and liking the video, as it helps more than you know. Now, let's continue with Number 7. Pyroclastic flows, the volcano's firestorm. When most people think of a volcanic eruption, they picture lava slowly oozing down the mountain. But lava is merciful. Lava gives you time to run. The true killer is much faster and much hotter. A pyroclastic flow is a rolling avalanche of superheated ash, rock, and toxic gas. It races down volcanoes at speeds up to 450 miles per hour, some hotter than 1,000 degrees Celsius or 1,830 degrees Fahrenheit. To be caught in one is to be erased. Flesh burns instantly, bones turn brittle, the very air ignited. Let's examine a real incident that occurred at Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. When Vesuvius erupted over Pompeii, thousands fled. Many perished and Pompeii was buried under 10 feet of ash. But in nearby Herculaneum, residents had no chance. Pyroclastic surges engulfed the town in moments. Hundreds of people who sought shelter in boathouses by the shore were found centuries later, skeletons frozen in the instant they died, mouths open, bodies curled, flesh burned by the wave of molten death. Others were found with their arms wrapped around their children, making this an especially heartbreaking find. Let's look at another case, which took place at Mount Pelée in 1902. The city of Saint-Pierre on Martinique was annihilated in less than 2 minutes by a pyroclastic flow. Out of 30,000 people, only 3 named people survived. One was locked in a stone jail cell that shielded him from the blast. Another lived at the edge of town, and though severely burned, he survived. The other was a young girl who escaped the pyroclastic rampage by sailing on a raft into a cave. Betcha didn't know fact. Pyroclastic flows are so hot and fast, they can boil your brain inside your skull before you even inhale. This was the fate of many of those that perished as a result of the eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Unfortunately for many, when a volcano exhales, it doesn't breathe fire, it breathes instant death. Number 6. Lightning, the sky's sniper. Every storm is a battlefield. Thunder shakes the heavens, rain lashes the ground. And then the sky strikes, hurling a jagged spear of light, hotter than the surface of the sun. Lightning is beautiful from afar, but when it finds you, it's ruthless. A single bolt can deliver 300 million volts of electricity, delivering heat at 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or 27,760 degrees Celsius in milliseconds. Your heart can stop instantly by causing depolarization of the entire heart muscle all at once. Additionally, lightning strikes to the body can lead to neurological damage, ruptured eardrums, eye injuries, as well as various other internal trauma. Let's review a real case involving a tragedy that occurred in Jaipur, India in July 2021. A single lightning strike killed 18 people, some of which were children, taking selfies on top of a watchtower during a storm. They never had a chance. Another case involved one of the deadliest lightning strikes in history. In 1975, lightning hit a school in Zimbabwe. The building was struck, killing 21 children instantly. Betcha didn't know fact. Lightning doesn't just kill on impact. It can cause explosive expansion of the water in your body, causing severe internal damage and leaving strange lightning scars called Lichtenberg figures burned into your skin like fractal tattoos. While these markings are temporary in most cases, the underlying damage can be long-lasting. The next time thunder roars, remember, the sky carries a loaded gun, and it only takes one shot to take out its victim. Number 5. Rogue waves, monsters of the deep. At sea, the horizon is endless. Sailors trust their ships and trust the ocean's rhythm. But every so often, the ocean betrays them. A wave appears, towering, impossible, and out of nowhere. Rogue waves are not tsunamis. They're spontaneous giants rising up in the middle of the ocean without warning. Waves over 80 feet tall have been recorded, striking with the force to shatter steel, flip oil rigs, and sink massive ships. For centuries, rogue waves were considered sailors' myths, sea monster stories. But satellites and ocean sensors now prove they are very real and far more common than once thought. Now let's review a real event that happened in 1978 to the MS München. A German cargo ship disappeared in the Atlantic. Wreckage suggested it had been hit by an enormous wave, powerful enough to rip lifeboats from 65 feet above the waterline. No one survived. 28 lives were lost to the murky depths of the sea. Another event happened in 1995, known as the Draupner wave. For the first time, an 84-foot rogue wave was recorded on instruments off the coast of Norway, striking the Draupner oil platform in the North Sea. Scientists called it the Draupner wave, proof that one of the sea's most terrifying legends was indeed reality. Betcha didn't know fact. Rogue waves can appear in pairs or even triplets. Survive one, and its twin may follow to finish the job. On the open sea, death doesn't roar from below. It rises silently, then crashes with no escape and no mercy. If you think that rogue waves are scary, wait until you hear about Number 4. Flash floods, death in the current. The rain begins gently. You don't even notice at first. But somewhere upstream, miles away, clouds have unleashed a torrent. And now, without warning, a wall of water is rushing toward you. Silent, fast, and unstoppable. Flash floods are some of the deadliest disasters because they happen in minutes. Unlike a slow-rising flood, these waves roar suddenly down valleys, streets, and canyons with no time to prepare. A wall of water filled with mud, rocks, and debris can sweep away cars, houses, and entire communities. Let's look at the Johnstown flood in May 1889. In Pennsylvania, a dam gave way after heavy rain due to modifications made to the dam according to scientific studies. A torrent of water crashed down the valley, obliterating everything in its path. Within an hour, over 2,200 people were dead. Many bodies were never found, washed miles downstream. In another incident that occurred in northern India in 2013, the Kedarnath flash flood swept away villages and pilgrims in the Himalayas. Well over 5,000 people were killed. Most never saw the water coming. During a recent incident in July 2025, the Guadalupe River rose at a rapid rate in the early morning hours, exceeding the flow over the Niagara Falls by some accounts. At least 135 people lost their lives during this catastrophic event. Betcha didn't know fact. Just 6 inches of moving water can knock a grown adult off their feet. Just 2 feet can carry away a car. Flash floods prove that sometimes water doesn't flow. Sometimes it devastates. Number 3. Avalanches, the mountain's white tomb. High in the mountains, snow builds silently. Layer upon layer, winter after winter. To the climber, the skier, the traveler, it looks like beauty. But to the mountain, it's ammunition. An avalanche is a slab of snow breaking loose and accelerating downhill, dragging ice, rock, and trees with it. Speeds can exceed 200 miles per hour. If you're caught, you're buried alive, unable to move. lungs crushed under tons of snow. Within minutes, you suffocate. Now for a real case, Huascaran avalanche, Peru in 1970. Triggered by an earthquake, a massive wall of snow and ice roared down from Mount Huascaran, burying entire towns. An estimated 30 to 50,000 people died in seconds, entire villages erased from the map. There is little wonder why this has been determined to be the deadliest avalanche in history. Another case involves Dyatlov Pass in 1959. 9 hikers in Russia mysteriously perished. For decades, their deaths fueled conspiracy theories about aliens and secret weapons. But new evidence points to a small avalanche burying their camp, forcing them to flee into the night, where the cold finished what the mountain began. Betcha didn't know fact. Most avalanche victims don't die from impact. They die from suffocation within 15 to 35 long minutes. Sadly, their final breaths used up in icy darkness. Mountains hold beauty and death in equal measure. Avalanches are how they remind us who's in charge. Number 2, superstorms, the sky's wrath unleashed. Storms are nature's tantrums. But every so often, nature throws not a tantrum, but an absolute massacre. Superstorms, like mega hurricanes and typhoons, are colossal engines of destruction. With winds that can reach over 200 miles per hour and storm surges higher than houses, they can level entire coastlines in hours. Betcha Didn't Know is based out of Florida, so we have witnessed the destruction of hurricanes many times, and it can be truly devastating. However, Florida is not the only place that experiences these destructive storms. Let us examine Typhoon Haiyan that occurred in 2013. One of the most powerful storms ever recorded struck the Philippines with winds of 195 miles per hour and waves as high as 25 feet. Over 6,300 people were killed and millions left homeless. Another event was the Great Galveston Hurricane in 1900. Before modern forecasting, the deadliest hurricane in U.S. history struck Texas, killing between 8,000 and 12,000 people. Entire families were swept into the sea overnight without any warning or ability to prepare. Betcha Didn't Know fact, a single hurricane can release more energy than 10,000 nuclear bombs. When the sky becomes a weapon, there is nowhere to hide. Number 1. Earthquakes, the Earth's instant kill switch. And finally, the deadliest, most unpredictable killer of them all. It strikes without warning, no storm clouds, no tremors to alert you, just silence, and then chaos. Earthquakes are the Earth's way of shifting its bones. Tectonic plates grind and snap, releasing energy that rips cities apart in seconds. Buildings collapse, roads split open, entire landscapes are reshaped. Let's explore the Shaanxi earthquake that happened in China in 1556. The deadliest earthquake in history killed 830,000 people. Many died instantly as their homes, made of packed earth, collapsed on top of them. Another catastrophic event was the Tohoku earthquake that occurred in Japan in 2011. A 9.0 magnitude quake struck offshore. In seconds, entire towns crumbled. Then came the tsunami with waves reaching 124 feet or 38 meters, and then the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Nearly 20,000 people were killed, many in the first moments of the quake itself. Betcha Didn't Know fact, earthquakes can permanently shorten the Earth's 24-hour day. The 2011 quake in Japan shifted the planet's axis by 10 inches and made days shorter by a fraction of a second. The ground we walk on feels solid. But in truth, it's always moving. And when it decides to move fast, there is no escape. Let's recap. Sinkholes that swallow you whole. Lakes that suffocate entire villages. Waves that rise from nowhere. Mountains that bury the living. And the earth itself, shaking us off like ants. These are not monsters from myths. They're real. They're waiting. And the terrifying truth is, nature doesn't hate us. It doesn't even notice us. We're just in the way. bet you didn't know how fragile life really is.